Welcome back. All right, so news of the day video for all you fine people for Wednesday, December the 7th. Starting off with Philadelphia Flyers news. James Van Riemsdyk, who's missed the last 20 games, has been activated. He'll be back in the lineup tonight. The team's record since he got hurt, 5-10-5. Now, it's not the reason that the team has a 5-10-5 record, but it doesn't help that Van Riemsdyk's been out. He had a decent start to the season. Now with him back, we'll see how long he's a Flyer. I do believe he's on an expiring contract. Probably ends up getting moved at some point. But having him back is good for the Philadelphia Flyers. And again, we'll see if they can win their second straight tonight. St. Louis, of course, won last night, 7-4. Amazingly exciting game out of what was kind of a quiet start. But Buchnevich was not available. He has a lower body injury. Krug, an upper body injury. And basically, they're going to be evaluated today by team doctors. We'll see how long they're going to be out. But yeah, it was a nice step up by the guys who played last night. And, you know, Rosen was impressive. And Bitton got in there and got his first NHL point. So good stories for St. Louis. And again, we'll see. They've been streaky this year. We'll see if this is the start of a good one, right? It definitely seems like they're trending in the direction outside the playoffs and more towards missing the playoffs. But again, St. Louis has had a really good winning streak. Well, they've had 2 winning streaks, one of them pretty impressive so far this year. So maybe they can go on another one. Minnesota, who are on a winning streak of their own right now. Kaprizov is a huge part of that. He has a 12-game point streak going. It just feels like there's so many really long point streaks going on right now in the NHL. Of course, right now the longest is the one that's in Toronto. Robertson's was ended last night. But for Kaprizov, it's 12 games. He's going for 13. And of course, they're in Calgary tonight. So we'll see if Minnesota can win that one. I'd like to see Calgary at some point wearing their standard jerseys and Minnesota wearing a reverse retro. I think it'd be a very 80s looking game. But at any rate, Kaprizov, we'll see if he gets to 13 tonight. For the Arizona Coyotes, the long, frequent Flyer miles picking up road trip of 14 games comes to an end tonight. So the final game is finally tonight. And so they can go home for 8 of their next 10 games after this. And I know their record has been poor over. They've only won 1 of their last 10, but this is to be expected over a road trip so long for a team that already was expected to finish outside the playoffs. It's a brutally long road trip, tying the longest of all time. The Canucks have the longest of all time from back in 2010. So yeah, I think they'll be glad to be back home, and we'll see how they play when they get home and whether or not Chychrun's still part of the team. Apparently, Chychrun trade talks have picked up. This is the reporting anyways. Makes some sense. He's looked very good since his return. His cap hit of $4.6 million for 2 more seasons makes him a very popular trade target. And Arizona's also a team that has cap space, so in the event that you want them to take on some money while you're taking Chychrun off their hands, sure, it's going to cost you multiple first-round picks for all that, but there may be a team out there that's willing to do that as we get further into the season. I do expect his value to continue to rise. He's been very good since returning. Honestly, his numbers are quite good. I think he's playing better this year than he did last year. He's more back in line with where he was a couple years ago when his play was absolutely excellent. The Devils are flirting with history with their record. Through 25 games, they have 21 wins. The all-time record, the 08-09 San Jose Sharks had 22. The Boston Bruins in 1929-30 also had 22 wins in their first 25 games. So for New Jersey, it's 21 wins currently in 25 games. Then you have the Chicago Blackhawks had 21 wins in 2012-2013, and of course they won the Cup that year. The Ottawa Senators, 2005-2006, also had 21 wins. And the Detroit Red Wings, 2001-2002, had 21 wins. And of course, the 01-02 Red Wings, considered one of the best teams of all time. And pretty sure they won the Cup that year as well. So we shall see whether or not New Jersey can keep this going, how far it goes, all that fun stuff. But yeah, so far it's been an amazing first third of the season, and they look legit. But again, we shall see over the coming, I'll say about a month and a half from now. Any naysayers that might be left, either will get a lot to talk about, or they'll have to just say, no, that's true. They're one of the best right now, and there are definitely arguments in favor. There's some arguments against, but I'm on one that will argue in favor. Currently, they're number 1 on the power rankings board. So just throwing that out there, they did go to number 1 last night. Dan Vladar apparently is starting his third straight for the Calgary Flames. So Markstrom was skating with the players who were scratched for tonight. He was doing some extra work with coaches. So Vladar right now has the net. And this will be seen probably as like a goaltending controversy. I see it more of a chance for them to reset Markstrom a little bit. And Vladar's playing well. There's no reason they can't go with Dan Vladar. And I really think that going with the hot hand is the best way to go for Calgary. They have to win some games. They have to get above the playoff line and get in line for one of the top 3 spots in their division, right? So you go with the hot hand, and right now that's Dan Vladar. And I do think this will benefit Markstrom to get that extra time and have a little bit of a reset, right, with about a week off. So we'll see how long Vladar gets the net, but this third straight start is nice. Vladar was supposed to be getting a game per week, and for a little while there, he wasn't, so now he's getting 3 games in a week. 20-game point streak for Mitch Marner. He, of course, reached that last night against the Dallas Stars, and did it early as well. His streak's absolutely amazing, and again, it is a Leafs record, so will continue to be news as long as that's going. But the other thing that stands out to me is Murray's save percentage with last night's shutout is now .932. Matt Murray being picked up by Toronto was definitely a risk. It was a bet that was taken by Kyle Dubas, and so far Matt Murray, when healthy, has been fantastic. There was some debate about whether or not Samsonov was going to get the start last night. Well, it looks brilliant that they put Murray in last night. Really, really strong game for him. And for the Leafs, they're getting the kind of goaltending that's necessary if you want to get out of the first round of the playoffs. And Matt Murray does have a pretty good playoff resume. So we'll see how this works out for Toronto, but so far, so good. Shane Wright, of course, got his first NHL goal last night, doing so against the team that passed on him at the draft. One of 3, but the one that was most prominent, because we had expected him to go first overall to Montreal, and then they took Slafkovsky instead. So Shane Wright getting his first NHL goal. Key thing right there, that he gets that. And then, of course, he is expected to be released and allowed to join the World Junior team once we get to that. But, yeah, he looked good last night. He played well. He had a pretty good game. And it felt like he was on the ice a lot more in that game last night than he had been in previous. So, yeah, good on Wright. And hopefully Seattle continues this really unconventional way of handling a number 1 or number 4 draft pick, who would have been number 1. And we'll see if other teams follow this. If this works, if Shane Wright ends up being a better player at the end of the year than he was at the start of it, other teams may look at this and say, maybe we don't have to send players back to juniors. Again, at some point in time, the NHL has to look at that relationship and realize there are players that go back to juniors that would probably benefit from some time in the AHL. And so it's going to require a conversation between themselves and the Canadian Hockey League. American Hockey League would be completely fine with that. But it is a conversation that I think needs to happen. Brock Besser, his agent, Ben Hankinson, has talked to more than 6 teams about a trade. And there are teams that are interested. Now, Besser's playing some of his best hockey right now. He's on a top line in Vancouver. He's playing quite well, which does not surprise me. I don't have 2 Brock Besser jerseys just because. It's not like I love the number 6, so I have to get the, if it's Besser, that's fine. It's because I know how good Besser can be and what a good shot he has and how smart he can play. And I know at times it hasn't worked out that well for him. However, right now things are going well. And again, his agent talking to teams about a trade. The problem being his contract. Not that he's overpaid, but the teams aren't able to take on that kind of salary right now. So I will agree with some that think that Besser and others for the Canucks, it might be easier for them to trade these guys after the season's done. And teams have more cap space and more ability to take on money like that. So we'll see if that's what ends up happening or if Besser ends up being moved before then. But I don't think this is something that's going to happen quickly. I think this is going to take some time. We have not seen a significant trade in the NHL since the season started. I don't expect one anytime soon either. But we'll see. Because again, we're close enough to Christmas that trades become less likely. But again, Besser's the one that looks like he'll be the first one out in Vancouver. I wouldn't rule out a Connor Garland trade either. But again, that's a contract that, while it's not too expensive, there just are so many teams that would be interested in the player that don't have the cap space to take him on. Nathan McKinnon, if you're an Avs fan, you likely already know this. He's out 4 weeks, approximately 4 weeks. Upper body injury, this being announced by the team. And so that's not great. Right, that's not a fantastic piece of news for Colorado fans that they'll be missing that many players, forwards, defensemen, you name it. And so right now, for Colorado, it really is about trying to find the results. I expect them to win more than people expect them to. I think Colorado has some good fundamentals, some good systems, and I think they're going to eke out some wins here and there. But it is going to be a tough next 4 weeks. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.